The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 2024 summer edition of The Local Show. I'm your host, Tom Soccocio Jr., along with my good friend and co-host, Steve Roberts. The Local Show features conversations about local businesses. We talk to the business owners, CFOs, CEOs, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, business advocates, and basically anyone who'll talk to us. We learn how they got into business and why they do business right here in Syracuse, New York, where their businesses might be going in the future. You're going to hear all about their successes, their challenges, opportunities, marketing, and advertising. We're broadcasting from the Zoey Advertising Studios, sponsored by Safe Harbor, Wills and Trusts. And you can see the whole show on YouTube, and you can see legacy shows on YouTube as well. So how are you doing there, Steve, as we bound into fall?
Legacy shows. Tom, I love your vocabulary. Most would say old.
Yeah.
Most would say old shows, but you say legacy. You got a grasp on your good vocabulary, Tom. Did you do fantastic in English in high school?
Yes, I did.
Did you like 101 on the English Regents?
I really did.
I can see that.
And then I had a calendar back when I was on the old WHEN. I had a word of the day because Rush Limbaugh used to do that.
Well, that's kind of cool.
And he had a little calendar, and you would learn a different word and the meaning of the word. And
this may shock you, but I actually had to take the English Regents twice in 11th grade. Does that shock you? Are you shocked?
Well, I always say you do English as a second language very well.
Thank you. I did great on American history. I flew through that. But,
sure. And you like numbers, right? Somewhat.
I like numbers. Math was not great in school, but I like numbers now because I only basically focused on the remedial math, which is what we use, right?
Right.
So if somebody says, I need a percentage of this, I can usually do it fairly quickly, but I still try to figure out what X is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why anybody cares.
I know. And you don't use that much practically, right? People don't use it in a practical way. We got a great show racked up for everybody, so stick around. We're going to talk with Mike Albanese. We had him on a few weeks ago. We're going to talk to him again. He's the owner of Albanese Longhorns. And then Sheila Ostrom stops by. She's the owner of Senior Home Care and Alzheimer's Solutions. Christina Farrar is the Mobile Maple Experience Coordinator for the New York State Maple Association, and she's going to stop by, talk about what they're doing at the fair and what that exhibit's all about. Neil Carr will also come by and have a conversation about Prime Heating and Air. Alan Poster, the owner, I think he's the sole owner
I think
of
he
Ra-Lin's.
is. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about them. They're the original discounter. I don't know if you know.
I did know that.
Maureen Kaljeski is the certified podorthist at Syracuse Orthopedics Specialists, and then Scott Lickstein is a partner at Newman and Lickstein. We'll get a little attorney action there right here on the Local Show. Stick around for all that. Mike Albanese is back again. How are you there, Mike?
I'm fine. Good morning.
Good morning. And I'm glad you took time to... Well, who takes care of the cows when you're not around?
They're not cows, Tom.
Well, the Longhorns.
Yeah, they're cows, yeah. I have some help.
Good.
But they're kind of on autopilot at the moment. They're out doing what they do in the summers.
Yeah.
Vacationing?
Not exactly, but sort of. For me, it's a little minor mini vacation, yes.
Yeah. You're probably used to waking up early and starting your day with them, right?
Yeah, because where we live, of course we have cattle there, so yeah. So
sure.
I like to be up when the birds start. I love to hear the birds sing in the morning.
How long have you been doing that?
Nearly 40 years.
Wow.
From the cow business.
Right.
Yeah.
That is
I'm
something
a little older
else.
than that.
Yeah. So for the longest time, get a little closer to that, Mike. For the longest time, I didn't know where they were, and I'm familiar with Myers Creek Brewing right there in Kaz, Critz Farms. I've driven by there 10,000 times, but I never oh, that's kind of nice. Didn't realize what you have there. Tell us, what do you have there?
Well, at that location, we have other farms as well, but at that location, we have primarily adult female cows. In other words, cows that would be having babies or calves at that location. And we also winter them and the yearlings there. So we have a full active working farm, which we put up winter stores for the winter, and we winter them there. And we also live at that location. So that's basically in a nutshell what we have there. And we also have a store where we sell beef, leather products, hides, horns, and other types of leather items.
Right. Where are your other farms?
Lafayette, Pompey, and let's see, what am Jamesville.
How do you manage all of them?
He does it all
I just do a
himself.
poor job of it. So. It's a fire, put her out or fire thing as they pop up.
Yeah.
I have some good help.
So Longhorn beef, am I calling it? Is that the right term?
That could be, yes.
So in my head, I always want to throw Texas in the front of that, Tom.
That's
they
because
are
that's what
Texas
his business
Longhorns.
right, but
is.
they're in Cazenovia. It feels like they got lost.
They're not lost. They're just adapted to that place. But they are registered Texas Longhorns, and again, primarily we raise them for breeding stock. Meat kind of the COVID thing kind of brought that to the forefront, if you will, and it kind of took off. And we kind of
why did it? I don't understand what COVID had to do with that.
Well, Tom, I don't know that answer. I think that people were unsure where their food, if it was safe, where it was coming from, if it'd be enough of it.
So they wanted a natural source, maybe local, yeah.
I think local, and they were kind of looking for options in case Wegmans ran out.
Oh, okay, right.
Of course, that is ridiculous. It never happened, or was never. Well, I shouldn't say never, but probably will never happen. So that's and then we really weren't into the meat business then. Since it's kind of taken hold, and we're doing okay with it. But again, our focus still is breeding stock.
I see.
So what's different between? Talk to me about grass-fed versus other fed, because you hear it, but I don't know that anybody. I think the people that know, but I think the people that don't know don't understand the difference.
Well, the grass-fed, obviously, it's natural for bovine to graze. It's not natural for them to eat grain. They will, of course, but it changes the texture and the appearance of the meat. Grain, of course, will put fat, put a lot of marbling, where grass-fed typically isn't as much. The breed matters some. There's less internal fat in Longhorn than there is an English breed, for example, Angus or Hereford. But I think it's also the fact that it may be some more natural. We happen to be chemical-free and hormone-free, which adds a little dynamic to the whole thing. But grass-fed, I think, is a more natural product.
Yeah. So just so people know that some farmers may use hormones to enhance the beef.
Growth hormone.
It's
a growth hormone, and that chemical is in the product that they buy at the store.
And then, of course, to keep the animal healthy, they may use certain antibiotics, which also get transferred to human consumption.
It does. But let me be clear that if an animal at my place needs help, if they're sick and need help, they're going to get it.
Right.
The vast majority, of course, make it through their life without any help, but we don't neglect them by not offering veterinary services when it's required.
So we were out at Myers Creek last weekend, and your herd, we're all out by the road, up on the north end or whatever it is. It was amazing. It was just beautiful. They're along the fence, and there were some smaller ones and some larger ones, and they were eating grass, Tom.
Yeah, that's grass-fed. That was actually half. The other half is on the south side.
Oh, is that what it was?
You didn't venture that far.
No, because I went to Myers Creek and saw it there. So people can purchase directly from you the grass-fed meat. And Tom, I got to tell you a secret you're going to be mad about. You ready? They brought some tomahawk steak in last time.
I know I didn't get any of that.
I ate it.
Thank you.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, I don't do a lot here, so.
Yeah.
We encourage people to come by the farm.
Oh my gosh.
Call for make sure we're there. We encourage people to come by, look around. We'll be glad to show them around and tell them what we do.
But so AlbaneseLonghorns.com.
Correct.
And they can call you at 289-2699.
Also correct. Yeah.
Okay, so 289-2699. If you're looking for some healthy Texas Longhorn right here in town.
And just an experience.
And it's a great experience.
Excellent. Mike, you have a great rest of the day, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Both of you. Yeah.
Coming up next, we're going to talk with Sheila Ostrom. She's the owner of Senior Home Care and Alzheimer's Solutions right here on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Back into it and back at it again. You've got the local show with Tom and Steve. And we're getting toward spooky season. And before spooky season comes the New York State Fair, of course. And
spooky season, just to be clear, is winter.
Yeah,
just in case there's any question.
That is a spooky thing. But before all that, the State Fair, and Steve we got you set up in one of the cattle buildings. I'm going to show Steve off this year.
I've gained a little extra weight. Fine.
I'm going to hook you up and let people come see you.
No, I'm still mad they took the racetrack downtown.
Yeah, I know.
You've heard me say that before. It's like,
I
took the racetrack down. But
that's very old news.
It's very old, but it's a lot of laws. It's like missing my grandpa that died when I was 12. It was an amazing thing. But what's your favorite thing at the fair, Tom?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing anymore. It used to.
What did it used to be? The racetrack?
Burlesque shows.
Yeah. Did you not play? Did you play bass guitar at those when you were a kid?
I did. Yes.
That's hysterical.
They did have those folks back
at the
then.
fair.
I don't know.
Things have changed.
Yeah, I was only 16, 17 years old, and my father said, "Hey, I booked a gig at the State Fair," and he didn't tell me what it was.
Oh my God!
And I showed up, and I said, "What are we doing here?" And we played all the music for the burlesque. It was live music, no DJ.
Can you imagine bringing Nick to that like today? Nick, your 17-year-old, 16-year-old, whatever he is.
Well, let me tell you, there was some good life lessons then. I learned that you always wash your hands.
Yeah,
that's what my father told me. He goes, "Wash your hands."
Well, the fair has improved in some areas. Let's give it that way.
Yeah, no burlesque anymore. Yeah. But I don't know anymore with the fair. I think COVID screwed me up. I didn't know what to come back to,
right?
Or all that. I do like eating there, and of course, what I try to do is eat clean, from now until when the fair starts, so that I can go and have a bloomin' onion and a couple of beers and things like that.
I saw the calorie count in the bloomin' onion. It's like 4 figures.
Yeah. Not good.
Not good. Well, it's good for my cholesterol.
Yeah. But, I was encouraged by the new fair director. I thought she was very well spoken, and it seemed like she knew, there's a lot of new things that are happening.
And you know what I loved the best? The thing she said, no more handshake deals. Let's bring this up. Let's do it right. Let's be fair to everybody. And I liked that. It wasn't like, hey, I thought that was great. And it got me encouraged about going. And we're doing some stuff for our friends at New York Maple over there.
New York Maple, and, so we'll encourage people to go over there.
Yeah.
So here's an upbeat and positive lady. She always brings me up a couple of notches. It's Sheila Ostrom, owner of Senior Home Care and Alzheimer's Solutions. How are you, Sheila?
I'm great. Yes, I'm looking forward to the fair. Good. I have some favorite foods as well.
Yeah.
So, what are your favorite food, Sheila?
I always get a chocolate-covered banana.
Oh.
And I always get the London broil sandwich with the cheese sauce on it.
Is that good?
Oh,
that's got to have a lot of calories. That's worse than the
They're all
onion.
bad.
Yeah.
They're all bad. And a pizza frite. Always
Pizza frite. I like, or funnel cake.
Yep.
I don't know the difference.
I like the pizza frite. That's the long, twisty one.
And the funnel cake would be
the circular
thing.
Yeah.
I got a big discussion with Lori here in her office about. I said they're all the same. She's like, they're not the same.
They're not.
She's very Italian and very defensive.
Right.
She said, they're not the same. And she was like mad at me. I'm like, it's just fried dough. No, this one's better. And apparently, I don't know if she's been branded or
it tastes more like a donut.
Yeah.
So, there's
my grandmother used to make pizza frite.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
that was a staple. Yeah. And since she passed away, we haven't done that in a long time.
But your cholesterol dropped by 80 points.
Yes, which is a good thing. So you got some other things happening in the fall.
Yes.
You have your big, what do we call it,
we
festival?
have our big conference.
Okay, conference.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a festival.
Okay.
We have our big Living with Dementia Conference 2024, the Care Partners Journey. And we have an exciting lineup this year. Our main sponsor, Velocity Clinical Research, was able to really help us get some great talent in this year.
Nice.
We are going to start out with Arel Moody. He is a TED Talk guy. He speaks internationally, and he's going to be our motivational speaker to start the day off.
Is he specific to dementias and Alzheimer's?
He's not. So he's tied the whole talk into what we do as caregivers.
Okay. Gotcha.
Just amazing. He's just so inspiring.
Right.
Then we have Dr. Santos from Rochester, who's coming in to talk about dementia and her clinic that she runs out there. And then just some general things. There's a lot going on in Alzheimer's research and medications that are, on the cusp, and blood tests, and,
Right.
What's new and upcoming and what's now.
Are you still looking for any sponsors or anybody to participate in the conference?
We are completely full right now, so we do not have room for for sponsors or table exhibitors. We are completely full.
Okay.
They are very thoughtfully chosen. The tables are only businesses that actually do stuff for people with all types of dementia. So we don't have fluffery.
So nobody's selling heating pads.
Exactly. Yes. No, it's very true. Every exhibitor is extremely thoughtfully curated, and we had less space this year because we're doing breakout rooms. And we didn't do that at the first conference last year because we needed to try to start with just one room, but this year we're doing breakout rooms. So we're having a live demonstration of a clinical trial and what that looks like, so families can understand what that is. We're actually having a caregiver family, a whole family of people who are going to be on a panel, and they're just regular folks like you and I who have been taking care of their family member with dementia, and opening that up for questions. So the caregiver panel is going to be very interesting.
So who should come?
Anybody who takes care of someone with dementia, professionally or personally, anyone who wants to know more about how to interact with people with dementia, all types of dementia. It's really important. We're having a legal panel again, because that's always needed, but it's a breakout. So if you saw that last year, you don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
But we did have new people this year. And then we have the local resources, free, low cost, and things you purchase for people for resources in the area so they can find them in Central New York. So all Central New York. And then we also are going to do some specific training. It's called the GEMS training, based upon the principles of TIPA Snow. And last but not least, we are also going to do a brain gut discussion, which has gotten a lot of press in the last year as far as how it affects the brain.
So it's where, and it's where, when, and how do people register?
September 18th. It's going to be at the Embassy Suites across from Destiny. It's very easy entrance, very easy parking. It's going to be from 8 to 4, and people can register online at my website, SyracuseSenior.com, or they can go to our new livingwithdementia.cny.org website.
So either one, they can.
Either one.
Can they see the program? Can they see who's going to be there? Or is that info
we
there
have
too?
all the speakers on there. And if you can't do it, if you are not technologically able to do that, because there's still some people who attend that aren't very savvy, just call the office and we can register you. It's 315-469-1000. And it's $50 this year. That just covers the cost of the lunch.
Right.
So
how much room do you have for people?
We have space for 250 people, and it will sell out.
Yeah.
We were standing room only last year, and we're already halfway, and we just started advertising.
Oh, okay.
So register soon. Don't wait, because we have fire regulations. We can't go over.
So if you have a family member and you're saying, "Oh, can I learn? How can I do this better?" This is the place to be.
Yes, and how do I find help?
Okay, this is the place to be.
What are the resources? How can I do it better?
And
how
real
can I
quick,
find
Senior
help?
Home Care Solutions, you're looking for a little more help, right?
Yes, I want those stay-at-home moms when the kids go back to school. Come work for us part-time.
All right, Sheila. Hey, best of luck with the conference. I'm sure we'll talk to you before then as well, but you have a great rest of the day today.
Thanks, you too.
Okay. Christina Farrar is coming up next. She's the coordinator of the Mobile Maple Experience at the New York State Fair and all around for New York State Maple. Okay, so she'll be here next on the local show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
We're back again, and that means that you are too, right here on The Local Show with Tom and Steve, as we bound our way through the dog days of summer and into fall, which I hate to admit. You know, it's bittersweet at this point where I'm watering a lot of the flowers, and they're starting to, less and less flowers.
Yeah, my tomato, so on our little deck, we've got tomato plants.
Yeah.
And Judy bought a cherry tomato one, and I have a regular tomato one. I got out of the gate quicker with the red tomato, but now mine looks like it had a blowtorch put on it. It's like,
right.
And we water it a lot. I think I got some kind of a disease. It looks
really.
It looks like something's eating the leaves or something.
Oh, it could do that too. Yeah.
So
no, my flowers start to look like the bedrock of my life, eroding.
Yeah,
I
was speaking with Mike Johnson this week, and we were chatting. And I was talking about your deck. I said, "Hey, I sat on the deck you did over at Tom's." And
that's a patio, but
yeah, you're right. That's a patio. I stand corrected daily by you. Thank you. That's
well,
right.
I don't want people to think I have a deck. Okay. I don't know why.
Do you have a pool?
No, I don't have a pool.
That's clear.
But the patio is nice.
And it's lovely.
I had my Aunt Carolyn over. I hadn't had her over in a while. And I said, you know what? The inside of the house is not done. It's not complete. So, but if I keep waiting for my house to be complete, I'll never have anyone
Your house
over.
Is, what are you talking about?
No,
it's beautiful
I don't
in there.
Have, there's all sorts of stuff.
Are you missing some molding or something?
Yes, molding and things. And a door on the basement. I still haven't put the door on. But anyway, she came over and she, we were talking about food earlier and why I'm screwing up with my diet. She made a regatta pound cake with icing and little blueberries on the top.
All right,
it was kind of an Italian. Oh man, I must have had half of it with a coffee, and it was just wonderful.
So do I not get invited to the Italian club when I call that regatta? Is it
no, you got to call it regatta.
Okay, yeah, because it's delicious. I love it.
Well, look, we do have an Italian person coming on the show, and they're in the studio now. So you have to talk about Safe Harbor first, and then we'll get to her. So tell me about Safe Harbor Wills and Trust.
I don't think John's Italian.
No, he's not.
That's
a bit Irish.
So if you haven't made a plan to protect your home and life savings, talk to the folks at Safe Harbor. It's one of those things you keep putting off and putting off. If your house isn't in a trust and you go to a nursing home, yikes.
Yeah, that's expensive.
That's expensive.
$14,000 a month.
Oh, that would be a bargain. It's closer to 20 now, Tom.
Oh, golly.
Depending, if they feed you or not. It's very expensive. But talk to them, safeharborwillsandtrust.com. Here on the weekend, you can hit the website and fill out a form, and they'll get back to you with answering your questions. You say, how much is this, and what do I do? They do that. Or you can call the 370-9977. I think they have an answering service or whatever on the weekend, but 370-9977, safeharborwillsandtrust.com, Tom.
Thank you so much. And now it's time to introduce Christina Farrar. She's the Mobile Maple Experience Coordinator for New York State Maple. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you guys today?
Very good. I don't think I've talked to you in a little while. You were on a few months back,
in the
right?
spring, yes,
yeah,
for Maple Weekend.
Yes, it was Maple Weekend. There was still snow on the ground.
There
I think.
was.
Oh, good golly. So, Christina, first tell us your background, and then we'll talk about how that dovetails with the mobile experience and all.
Oh, sure. My background is in forestry management. So I went to forestry school and trained to help landowners manage for multiple goals.
So you wanted to be a lumberjack?
Woods. No, a lumberjack is something different.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. But foresters learn the art and science of manipulating vegetation in the woods to help landowners make good choices when they are thinking about what to do with their forests. So some landowners are interested in encouraging different wildlife. Some landowners want to grow timber. Some landowners have sugar bushes and want to encourage maple trees with big crowns. And so I took the extension route. I worked for a long time for Cornell Cooperative Extension.
Okay. Where did you do your undergrad work?
My undergrad work, which is in history.
Oh,
I went to Hamilton College.
Oh, beautiful place.
And I did my graduate work in forestry at UMass Amherst, which I know that does not make me a stumpy, but still.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever want to go to the rainforests? Have you ever been?
I have never been to the rainforests. I think it's always interesting to visit different ecosystems and compare them to what we have here in the Northeast. Even the West Coast ecosystems and southern ecosystems are very different.
Cool. Now, can you identify funguses and problems with trees and stuff too? Is that part of your
It
degree?
is part of my training.
Yeah,
I don't have a huge pathology background, but we are trained to recognize common funguses, also damage from different invasive pests.
Tom has a fungus.
Among us, yeah.
You do?
My crabapple tree has it. Yeah.
Oh, crab apples are notorious for rust and other
Yes.
kinds of diseases.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I had the Bartlett tree people come over and start the process. So by spring, they tell me it's going to come back with no problems.
Okay.
So
The fungus?
hopefully- No, not the fungus.
Okay.
No. So what got you interested in New York State maple?
Well, of course, people are always interested in what they can do in their woods to help pay the taxes on their woods, right? So initially, the approach that we learn in forestry school is, wouldn't it be great if the woods could pay for themselves? And there are a lot of ways to do that. Raising timber or doing understory crops like growing azaleas or other kinds of plants to sell are different ways that people make money for
You
their
act
woods.
as though everyone has a forest.
No,
like,
but that's where my experience is
okay.
working with people that have woods.
So there are people out there who actually have woods.
Yes, when you drive down the highway and you remark at how beautiful the woods are, those woods belong to regular people.
See, I
like
always
you
thought
and
I
yes.
thought I thought it was owned by the state, all that land.
No, some of it is, but in the Northeast, our landowner profile is overwhelmingly private landowner.
That's cool.
Can people get maple syrup from state trees, or do they put up a big sign that says "Don't touch my trees"?
Well, we would need a whole nother episode to
Sounds like a
discuss
no.
that. No,
like a
there's
no.
a lot
because
of
we're holding you over.
there's a lot of work being done to allow producers to tap state trees, because it's an untapped resource, if you will. So maple initially was a different kind of forest product to me in school. But as I got involved and learned more about it, I also am a cook and a foodie and a supporter of agriculture of all kinds. So I became very interested in maple production for many different reasons.
So you're going to be out at the state fair.
That's right.
Sharing the maple stuff, and this here in the next few weeks.
Yes.
And you've got a big trailer out there that we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Right. The trailer is highly educational, so we can go into the details of that and what people can experience at the New York State Fair. Will you stick around?
I absolutely will.
All right. Despite Steve, we appreciate that. Next, we'll continue our conversation with Christina Farrar. So stick around for that. She is the Mobile Maple Experience Coordinator for New York State Maple, right here on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Back at it again. We've been talking with Christina Farrar on a very sweet topic. It's called New York State Maple.
Can't help yourself, can you, Tom?
She is the Mobile Maple Experience Coordinator for New York State Maple. And New York State Maple, of course, over at the New York State Fair. Big doings, right? It's a lot. And we're going to be doing some stuff with their social media.
We are.
Steve and I will be hosting a series of videos. And you can, well, of course, people see us on video here, but I'll actually be standing up next to Steve.
First time for everything.
And I'm half the size of Steve, so it'll be interesting for our
why don't we go with half
cameraman.
as tall, Tom?
What did I say?
Half the size. I don't know if you're half the size. I don't know if that's actually true, but
Okay, yes, half as tall. I like that
tall?
better.
Can we go with that?
Yeah,
but,
sure.
But the tasty things, if you go to the fair and you don't go to the horticulture building and experience maple, you've not gone to the fair.
Right. And everybody does. I believe that everybody goes through that building. And, you go through all the buildings, right? Might as well. And there's so much there that you can get involved with. And now they have maple mallows this year. So that's kind of new with the chocolates. And ooh, yummy.
And that Maple Experience educational trailer is right outside the door at the horticulture building where the maple exhibit is, right? Is that where it's going to be?
Yeah, that's correct. We're really excited about the location. So close to the Maple Center. We are preparing for 13 days at the New York State Fair.
Will you be there the whole time?
I will be there most days. Welcoming people into the trailer and providing an enhanced educational experience to the Maple Center, which I think is already a main destination for
really
people
is,
that comes to the fair.
So tell us, what will people see in this Maple Experience? How was it designed, and what was it designed for?
So our primary audience for the Maple Experience are New York State school children, and we travel during the school year to provide kids with a look at how maple syrup is made, the history of maple syrup in the Northeast, and information about the industry and how important it is to New York State agriculture. So our exhibits are set up as a miniature sugaring operation from the woods all the way through to the sugar house, highlighting changes in technology. We have working pumps, tubing systems, reverse osmosis,
ice cream,
and an evaporator. You have to go inside for the ice cream to the Maple Center. Don't travel with ice cream.
Maple cotton candy?
Again, inside at the Maple Center.
Maple popcorn?
Do you cover one of the most, what I think is one of the most important questions, and that is, what's the difference between, maple syrup and real maple syrup and what you buy in the store sometimes? Because I don't think that young people understand that is high fructose corn syrup in a bottle.
Exactly. So even though our message is moderation in everything, maple is still a sugar, we do make a point of explaining the difference between maple syrup, which is a one ingredient, natural, pure product, and table syrup or pancake syrup, which are the pearl milling companies and, log cabins of the world.
It's just awful that they put that stuff out. And I really mean that. I don't want to be like, Mr. Health Nut, but it's not fair that it's not disclosed, because you go to a restaurant or a diner and it might be in one of the shiny tin things,
right?
And you don't know, and you're putting it on thinking, oh, I'm eating a good hearty healthy breakfast here. It's bad stuff.
That's why you have a small bottle of maple syrup with you at all times.
I always worry about people that carry a small flask, but I guess I shouldn't.
It could be
like the scene in
maple
Elf
syrup.
where he's got it in his sleeve and he goes, ooh, I got some right here.
No, so Tom, I have a question for you.
Oh, go ahead.
So this is natural. How many gallons of sap out of a tree to make 1 gallon of maple syrup?
Oh, that's easy.
Which means he doesn't know.
24.6.
Okay, I think you're a little low on that.
Little low.
It's like twice that. It's like nearly 40, isn't it?
It's like 44 to 1 if your sap is 2% sugar.
And different sap has different quantity of sugar in it?
Yes.
Is that the tree or the weather, or what makes the difference?
It varies. There's lots of variables involved, but if you think about the reason why sap runs in the spring, which is the tree mobilizing its food source, so the sugar's in its root system to get started for the next season.
Okay.
The tree uses that sugar throughout the springtime in March and April to getting ready to push out those leaves, and it uses it. And so the sugar content goes down over the course of the season. So you might start with 2% syrup and a 44-to-1 ratio of sap to syrup, but by the end of the season, you might have 1% sugar, which is 86 or 88 gallons to 1. So you really are tapping into a natural resource and adjusting your operation.
But who said, hey, that stuff leaking out of the tree, we can eat that? Where did that start?
Indigenous people, like Native Americans, I'm sure, were the ones that were in the woods. Maybe there's a lot of beautiful mythology around how maple sap was discovered to be a sweet treat. And likely it was a sapsicle or some kind of broken branch leaking sap that they tasted and realized it had a little bit of sweetness to it. Using it for cooking liquid, if you're boiling meat in maple sap, eventually that's going to cook down and get sweeter and more delicious. And I think those are the origins of what's become a really important product.
Are there any other trees that produce a sap and a sugar that can be edible?
Yes. Black walnut trees are sap trees, and they run after maple. So if you have a maple setup and you have access to black walnuts, you can sugar those. There's a whole lot less sugar in their sap.
Black walnut syrup?
There is.
I never knew that.
It's not as prevalent as maple syrup. And birch syrup, which is more of a culinary ingredient than a topping for pancakes.
Right. So a lot of people will ask, and I'm sure they've asked you, how do I tap the trees in my yard, and how do I identify what trees I can tap?
Maple trees in winter, you have to have a little bit of tree ID skills to do that. So a lot of us recognize a maple leaf, but we can't rely on that. So in the wintertime, of course. So we look at bark, branches, and budding, the 3 Bs, to identify trees in the winter. So sugar maples and red maples have a distinct dark brown furrowed bark. Of course, it varies by how old the tree is. So if you have a tree that's about 10 inches in diameter, a certain kind of bark, opposite branching, and little pointy brown buds.
Just call you up and have you come over to the house?
They can call me up. I may not come to their house.
Count the rings to the age of the tree. Is that true or is that a myth?
That's true, but you have to cut the tree down to do that. So really, you're going to measure.
You have to do an autopsy.
You're going to measure your tree.
It's hard to tap a stump.
Yeah. So nysmaple.com.
Yes.
And you go to schools during the school year?
I do.
So maybe there's a school that would like to have that. They could connect with you.
Indeed.
And now this fair season, go get your maple over the horticulture building.
That's right. Come and see us at the Great New York State Fair.
Christina, thank you for all you do and all your people do, okay?
Thank you guys for having us.
You got it. Kicking off hour number 2 of the local show, we're going to have engaging conversations with Neil Carr, Vice President of Prime Heating and Air, and then Alan Poster stops by. He's the owner of Ra-Lin's, and then Maureen Kaljeski. She's a certified podorthist at Syracuse Orthopedics Specialists, and then we'll talk with Scott Lickstein. He's a partner at Newman and Lickstein. Stick around. Hour number 2 of the local show starts really soon.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Welcome back and welcome in. This is hour number 2 of the local show. Get ready for riveting interviews with Neil Carr, Vice President of Prime Heating and Air. Alan Poster stops by. He's the owner of Ra-Lin's. Maureen Kaljeski is a certified podorthist at Syracuse Orthopedics Specialists. And then we'll talk with Scott Lickstein, who is a partner at Newman and Lickstein.
Podorthist. That was pretty good, Tom.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Sounds like
I can't wait to talk with her.
It's like a list board, podorthist.
I can't can't wait to talk with her because that has something to do with feet, just so you know, for those of you keeping up with things.
Well.
And I know that my feet are just not the same as they were.
No.
Not the same as they once was. We'll get the skinny on that. Right now, it's Neil Carr, though. He's the vice president of Prime Heating and Air. Good to see you again, Neil.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah.
Riveting. I gotta give you riveting today.
Right.
So
Dale,
Well,
I'll do what I can.
Is it true that we have problems with your feet? Wide feet or just fat feet? Go ahead.
It makes sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
How is air conditioning season treating you?
Good. It's been good. It's been hot, as we all know,
Yeah.
this year. Yeah, so that's been good. And we've had a good run of making sure people are staying cool, getting their stuff fixed or replacing their old stuff and getting them something newer.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of HVAC in every town that you go to.
Yeah.
Every city has
Companies, yeah.
quite a few companies,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Because it's a really needed service.
Yeah.
Not only service, but the products and things like that.
Yep.
So how do you guys do it a little different? You
Yeah.
know, what was your plan and what is your current status?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could just read you the bio off the website, but
What's it say?
Yeah. No, I think Dwayne, when he went out on his own, he just wanted to be able to give the area just a company that's going to be straightforward, upfront, honest, right from the start, fair, work with people, contractors, HVAC. It's not just HVAC, but it's it's all the contracting world. You get one or two bad apples and it kind of sours the taste for a lot of people, and they just assume that's just how it is, and we, everyone's experienced that probably or knows someone who has, and it's not, obviously that sucks. That's not great,
Right.
So we just try to be communicative, again, right up front, try to be as personable as possible, just kind of try to put them at ease if they need it, if I get a sense that, hey, they're a little unsure and it's a little overwhelming, which I know it can be, just try to answer as many questions or give as much information to try to ease that uncomfortableness.
No one would ever accuse your brother of being slick.
Yeah, very true.
I mean, he's just
Very true.
He's deliberate. He's got you can see him thinking when he talks.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like waste words, but he's really a genuine. If I was you, this is what I. And you can see him thinking. He's not like, I want to sell this. He's like, how would I solve the problem? That seems to be his character.
Whatever the opposite of schmooze is.
Yes.
Yeah. Almost to a fault, but no. He's just gonna be straight up with you. So that's what we try to do. We're not in the business to sell you something you don't need.
Yeah.
Because what is that going to do? It's going to get you that sale, right? And then you're done, and then they're never going to call you again.
Right.
That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to build long-term relationships with people where they can trust us, and we can be there for them for the long haul.
Right.
We want a second phone call or a third phone call if needed, down the road. Obviously not too often, for their sake, of course. But we want them to trust us, know that, hey, if we do have a problem, I know these guys treated me right the first time, and let's call them again.
So during the summertime, do you get a lot of service calls? Is it less than the winter, or?
I would say depending on it really just depends, weather dependent. If we have a real cold summer or a real cold winter and a real hot summer, they're about the same.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Obviously when we're getting 95-degree days in June, that's not super common around here. So that increases the service on the AC side. And then like this year, we have 40-degree days in January and February. That slows down that area in the winter. So it all kind of averages out. But it's really just kind of temperature dependent, how hard the equipment's being run and that kind of thing. But I would say we don't get as many like after hours or overnight calls. Obviously in the summer, most people will just say, I'll wait till the morning,
right.
But in the winter, obviously you need your heat. So I would say that's the biggest difference.
So as far as the government, we talk about the government, putting restrictions or mandates on things and all that. But what's the reality of it right now? Is there stuff that you have to install?
No, there's not really anything we have to install right now. I would say the biggest change coming on the AC side is they're changing the refrigerant type on the AC equipment.
Okay.
Didn't they already do that?
It's getting rolled out. Yeah.
Well, like Freon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't Freon gone already anyway?
Well, there's different types. So there's, the older is R22, then they went to R410A, which we've been using for the last 10, 15 years, and now they're switching to this newer one. It's all environmentally focused, supposed to be easier on the environment, that kind of thing. So that means all the tooling, all the equipment is all changing to accommodate this new refrigerant. So the biggest issue is going to be availability, how long they're going to allow 410 to still be out there, which I think they're going to for a little while just because there's so much of it out there. But just like R22 now is basically phased out, or real close to, you can't get equipment that's R22 anymore. So
what is the refrigerant? What's the refrigerant that gave everyone Legionnaire's disease?
Oh, that I don't know.
Is there something that leaked? Yeah.
No,
the one we're not using.
Yeah, okay,
that I know. Yeah,
I thought that had to do with like a fungus in that.
Was it
whole
a
thing.
fungus among us?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but so that's the biggest change on the AC side. As far as like the whole gas thing here in New York and all that, I haven't heard any new updates or any proposed more timelines, that kind of thing. So,
is it true that if Kamala becomes president, things will get better in that space?
That's what they're saying. I don't know about all that.
She'll be living in a palace. You will live in a tent.
Protected by armed guards.
I don't think that's going to be the case, but I'm just an HVAC guy. What do I know?
Right.
So,
But regulations make things clunky.
They do. They do.
I mean, there's common sense regulation, of course.
Sure.
But over-regulation makes things expensive, maybe?
Unfortunately, it's the end user that has to pay for all these changes. So it's the homeowner, which is a bummer. So that's the biggest change coming real quick. That I would say this fall, spring, all that new equipment's going to be coming in. So by next spring, ACs, it's going to be the new stuff.
So looking at things, unbiased.
Yeah.
If I asked you as a friend, geez, I might need a new furnace, and I do like my air conditioning as well. Would a heat pump unit that does both be the way to go, or should I just get a furnace and a central air?
Yeah, so it depends. If you're very concerned about the efficiency, the heat pump on the AC side definitely increases your efficiency over the traditional central air system.
Does that mean it lowers my monthly cost?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So the heat side of it is very similar to like a high efficiency furnace you get now. So you won't see as much of a change on the heat side, but you won't be using gas, obviously. So maybe on those shoulder months, the early falls, the early springs, you're using the heat pump for the heat, and it's more efficient on the electric, so you'll be saving that because you're not using gas. So you will see some savings for sure.
Right.
So it's really when we have those conversations with people, it's really just talking about what are they thinking, what is their biggest need, that kind of thing, and if it's a good solution, we definitely propose it.
So now this time of year it's hot, but it's not going to be.
Yep.
If someone wants you to check out their stuff, 802-4287.
Yeah, give us a call because it could be September and still 85 degrees. So
and they can look at both the heat and the cooling.
Absolutely.
So 802-4287, Prime Heat and Air. Thank you, Neil.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Good to chat again.
Have a good rest of the day.
You
buddy.
too.
All right. Alan Poster's coming up next. He's the owner of Ra-Lin's, the original discounter, right here on the local show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Back at it again to put a smile on your face. This is the Steve Roberts Variety Show
You kill me every time.
on 570 WSYR, otherwise known as the Local Show.
Oh my gosh, Tom.
Well, as long as you're having fun, and that's what counts, right?
Tom, and I know I've said it 100 times before. When we started this thing, you're the radio guy with the golden voice. I'm like, Tom, let's do a radio show. You do it. And you were like, no. I'm going to drag you into this, like it or not, and that's how it happened, pretty much.
Radio has served me well, Steve. It's kept me just above the poverty line. and I appreciate that a lot.
Didn't you think when you were a kid that, maybe you didn't, when you were a young kid, people on the radio were making like $1 zillion a year?
Actually, back then in the 70s and 80s, they were.
Oh, okay.
And then it just took a dive really fast. By the time I started and graduated and everything, then it went down. And that just goes to the point, Steve, that there's somebody after me, and there is a anti-Tom barrier somewhere. And I truly believe that.
Well, I don't know. I'm not after you, Tom.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Like it or not, I consider you a friend.
I know. That's weird, isn't it?
I sat on your, not deck, your patio. It wasn't a deck. We cleared that up last time. Yeah.
That you were my friend. Yeah.
Yes, that proved it.
Well, of course, you had 5 beers, so
I did not have 5 beers. You saw me when I have 2, and I said I'm done because that's what I do.
That's right. You're a good boy like that. Hey, we've got Alan Poster with us right now. He's the owner of Ra-Lin's. How are you there, Alan?
Good. How you guys doing?
Very good, my friend. You know, my grandparents I grew up like on a Highland Ave. They had a big house up on Highland Ave, and any time that my grandfather would say we got to get an electronic device, it was always over to Ra-Lin's.
Yeah.
Come on, Tommy, we got to go down to Ra-Lin's.
Yeah, that's very common. A lot of our customers, either parents or grandparents, lived on the near north side in that area.
Well, we would trek it from Cicero with the same thing.
Right.
We would come down from, if you had to buy something, you went to, it was the place you went to.
Right.
And then when I got bit by the camera bug when I was 12 years old, oh my gosh, you guys got my grandchildren's inheritance, all because every dollar was spent there. It was saving for a lens. And you guys were great at it. The customer service was great. The people behind the counter knew cameras and knew stuff. They weren't just selling you stuff.
Right. Yeah. That's the big thing about Ra-Lin is our employees really know what they're talking about. We have people in different departments. The major appliance people have been there for years, and they know what they're talking about.
A lot of photo paper, 5x7 resin-coated paper, Micro-LX, Dectal, D76, all those things, and certainly some cameras too.
I want to hear Alan's history. So did you start the store?
Well, actually, it was started by my father-in-law back in 1953.
Gotcha.
And they were actually up in Mattydale, and then they moved to Burnett Avenue in 1960.
Okay.
And we've been there ever since. And
what was his original idea for this store? What was the concept?
The main concept was, at that point, all the other stores were selling at full retail. You know, there was just department stores. And the concept was right from the beginning that we would sell it at lower prices, and lower than regular retail.
Right. And what would you sell? Because there just seems to be such a variety of product there.
Yes, well, it was a department store, but it really started out with electronic TV. But major appliances has always been our big thing. Of course, at point, cameras were big, and of course that went away. And small electronics and jewelry, sporting goods. So it was like a discount department store where we had everything.
Right, and that was it was like eBay or an online store before they were popular, right?
Right,
you know, it was that kind of thing.
Or the old 800 numbers, if you remember.
I remember
we used to buy things with the 800 number.
Yeah,
right.
So he was Crazy Eddie, but he was Crazy Alan before Crazy Eddie was Crazy Eddie.
Right, before Crazy.
All I know is when I walked into that place, as a young man, my eyes light up. It's just, wow, they got so much stuff. And
you'd walk in, and the sportsman shop part is still there, right?
Right, they're in the very front.
Right. Do you sell firearms?
Yes, that's a sublease. That's the only thing that we don't own ourselves. That's a sublease division, yes, but we still do.
But you've been doing that for a while now.
Forever, since 1960, since they opened up.
Since they opened up, okay.
Since they opened up that location.
That is wonderful. What a jewel in the community. It really is.
Yeah, we have jewelry too.
Oh, yeah, they got jewelry.
Jewelry. You hit it right. But again, the main thing now is major appliances. Cameras have gone away from the phone.
Yeah,
we used to sell Walkmans and all this stuff. The small electronics that all went to the phone.
You still have TVs.
Yeah, so TVs are still big.
Right.
Still big.
Now, how do you compete with the bigger box store? Of course, some of the big box stores went out.
Yeah.
So that left you.
Well, we have to compete by being competitive on their price. We have to match the Lowe's and Home Depot pricing. That's how we compete.
And it seems like, my experience over the last 40 years, you guys know what you're talking about. Well, and that seems everywhere. It doesn't just seem it was the camera stuff back in the day.
Right, no, it was everything.
But when you walk in, someone, hey, there's 3 large TVs. What's the difference? They're $200 price. They'll tell you.
Right. There's an expert in every department. what I say now is my major appliance department people have been there longer than Lowe's and Home Depot have been open. So, you know.
Oh, wow.
So most of my people have been with me 20, 30 years.
Right.
Some approaching 40 years. And again, they don't work all over. The people who sell major appliances just sell major appliances. The camera guy's a camera guy. The jewelry person.
Now, Ellen, do you do anything online? Did you guys kind of develop into online?
We do a little bit online, but it's mostly people coming in and want a personal service in the answer.
Well, you buy, and I think there's a little bit of a, I'll call it a scam. I don't know if it's a scam. Hey, I buy something through Amazon. Postage is included. Well, you're not shipping a 200-pound refrigerator or something.
That's true. Yeah,
free.
yeah.
So somewhere that money's made up, and it's got to be made up in the price. Is that fair?
Absolutely. And that's the thing with major appliances. You got to get them to you. It's different than ordering something smallish. That's why our main thing now has become the major.
Right. So let's talk about how things have changed on the north side from 1960 to now.
Yeah.
Has it impacted your business? Because it's kind of, I remember a day when my grandfather and I would walk from Highland Ave down to Ra-Lin's.
No kidding.
Yeah, and then we go over to DeGiulio's and all that.
Oh my gosh, I love that place.
And we'd walk with, and there wasn't a fear, there wasn't any, it was just a beautiful walk.
Yeah, it's coming back, actually. The neighborhood hasn't been improving over the last 5 or 6 years. And of course, now they're going to have an exit off 690 right on Krause Ave, a half a block from our store.
Very nice.
And that's going to be the main exit off 690. They're going to close the downtown, the McBride exit. So if you go downtown, and the other thing, if you're coming in from the east and you want to go to up to SU or the hospitals, you know, instead of getting off, you won't be able to get off at Adams Street. You'll be getting off at Krause Ave.
Right.
So we're looking, the future looks very
good.
It looks really bright.
And of course, you have all the firearms there, so I'm sure you're not worried about security or anything.
We don't have to worry about security. That's right. And the other thing, if we do have an issue, the police respond very quickly.
Good.
Because they don't. Of course, our big customers are the police and for the fire, and they respond very quickly if anything happens down there.
My good friend, what's his name, is working. You know, he was such a good friend. And I feel bad. I think his name is Dan. Is he in the cameras?
Yeah, he's still there.
We went to Corcoran together.
Yeah, he's still there. He's a great employee.
Yeah.
And Dan helped me out with something. I was looking for something. Dan.
Again, he's
very knowledgeable.
In the camera department, they're the specialists.
Since high school, he's been a photo bug.
Right. All the people who are in the departments, they're kind of into whatever they're selling. That's their life outside the store.
Into washers and dryers, but they know their stuff.
And they know their stuff.
I sometimes I just forgot about you, and I mean that in the kind of, because I have fond memories, great experiences, no reason not to go there. It's like, oh yeah,
right. It happens. We hear that all the time. There's so much outside chatter, and of course, it is hard to advertise. Before it was just a few radio stations and the newspaper.
Now there's everything.
And the 3 stations and 3 TV stations, and that was it. And so it was easy.
Well, you give us all your money, we'll find a way to spend it.
You're good at that. You guys are good at that.
It's a gift. Yes.
Thank you so much. Ellen Poster right there, and thank you for being a gem in our community. We appreciate that. Owner of Ra-Lin's. Have a great rest of the day.
You too, guys, and thanks for all you guys do too.
Well, thank you. Maureen Kaljeski's coming up next. She's a certified podorthist at Syracuse Orthopedics Specialist. Keep it right here on the local show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Back on the Local Show. We're happy to have you, and Steve's happy in general. So that's a good thing right here on the Local Show on 570 WSYR 1069 FM. You can also see us on the YouTube channel, where there are videos that have been up there for a while of old shows, so that you can see who we've had on the show, and then of course right up to current. So it's a nice healthy place to be if you want to get acquainted with local businesses around this area.
I like the way you call it the YouTube, Tom. That's kind of cool.
It's the YouTube.
The YouTube, the Facebook.
Right. Fun
cool.
stuff. Yeah. The Instagram. Maureen Kaljeski is with us right now. She's a certified podorthist at Syracuse Orthopedic Specialists. Hi there, Maureen. How are you?
Hello, good, and you? Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. How'd they rope you into this? What brought you here?
Somebody that came into the store.
Yeah.
Right.
You have a store there, huh?
Yes, we do. We have a retail store that specializes in good shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So shoes. Where's the retail store?
East Taft Road.
Okay.
Yeah.
In North Syracuse.
Right. So let's first talk about your journey. So did you go to school to become a podorthist?
I did. I did my studies in Mequon, Wisconsin.
Mequon.
Is that the key?
Of
Is that
course.
the head of podorthist empire, Mecca? What is it?
Why were you out in Wisconsin?
Yeah, how'd that happen?
That's where the International School of Podorthics was at that time.
Really?
National School of Podorthics.
Who would have thought?
Not around anymore, but
Yeah. Well, tell everybody what a podorthist is and how it relates to podiatry.
I have been in podiatry since I was 24. Before that, I worked in a shoe store.
Okay.
So my career's never really gone above the ankle.
Right.
I specialize in custom foot orthotics, diabetic shoes, toe fillers for amputees, bracing for arthritic ankles, and I also run a store at the foot and ankle department.
That's incredible. Now, is a podorthist above a podiatrist in the pecking order or no?
No, we're below.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay, I'm not a medical doctor.
Okay, so you're
Below
not a
than me,
medical
Tom.
doctor. Yes.
Right, it's sort of like a trade.
Okay. I gotcha.
Okay, so if someone, I'll make a statement, change my mind if I'm wrong. If someone's wearing the wrong shoes, of course it's going to hurt.
Correct.
Okay, so what does someone need is if you're Tom's age and your feet hurt, what's different than when you're 15 years old and you buy a pair of Nikes and run out the door? What changes?
Well, our feet change over time. One thing that changes is we develop arthritis, bunions, hammer toes. Our feet grow and change like our bodies grow and change.
Right.
And they grow so slowly that you don't notice it until you've got foot pain because your shoes are too small.
Okay.
About 60% of my patients that I see wear the wrong size shoe.
So why would they wear the wrong? I mean, you go in, it's comfortable. You walk out of the shoe store with it. Why would they be wearing the wrong size shoe?
Because from the time you're in high school and your feet stop growing, say you're a size 12.
Yeah, 15. Thanks for noticing.
You just keep buying the same size, right? No one sits and down with you and measures your feet anymore, right?
That's very true.
You pick it off the shelf yourself and you go about your business and you
And
don't
then
realize it until you have a hammer toe
The
or
old
something.
Brannick device is not even around anymore.
I
It's
use
hard
it
to
every
find.
day.
Do you really?
Yes, I do.
So SOS, Syracuse Orthopedic, they take care of all kinds of things.
Right.
So this is kind of an offshoot of the foot department. If they go to podiatrist or have foot surgery or have something, and they go, yeah, you really should wear some better shoes. Go down the hall, talk to Maureen. Is that how this works?
It is, exactly. And I do a lot of custom orthotics for bunions, hammer toes. So I get all those referrals from the podiatrist and the orthopedic surgeons. And sometimes surgery isn't an option for them. So that's why I'm there.
I heard that this bunion surgery is really tough on people.
It's not pleasant.
Yeah, I was surprised because I thought they could, take care of it and then you'd heal up in a month. But they said the healing is a long time, right?
It is. Anything in the foot is a long time healing.
That's incredible.
So orthopedic shoes are ugly. Change my mind.
Oh, they are not. They are not.
Okay.
We strive in the store to pair up fashion with function. Something that's good for you doesn't have to be ugly anymore.
Okay.
So they're not ugly.
Okay. What's the process? So why would someone come to you if they didn't go to SOS? Can people just walk in off the street and talk about their feet and shoes and stuff?
They sure can.
Okay.
So my team is all trained on evaluating your problems,
Right.
and if it's something that is shoe related or a pad or an offloading type of thing for them, we can do that all in the store. without seeing the doctor.
I've had some issues now that I'm 60 years old. I went into the gym and was working my calves and trying to loosen them up and build calf muscle, And I got a real bad case of the plantar fasciitis. And it took forever to clear up. Do you have shoes specific? If somebody had plantar fasciitis, could they come to you and you could recommend some things to make it go away?
Absolutely. We have socks specially designed for plantar fasciitis, shoes for indoors and for outdoors. We can give you stretching exercises in the store and educate you, or the whole team is educated on how to treat certain foot conditions and help you immensely.
Do you sell golf shoes?
No.
Oh, okay. So if someone...
I could help you.
Okay, so how would you help me?
I would help look at your feet and direct you where you can get good golf shoes.
My feet would hurt your eyes. You probably should look away.
His face hurts my eyes.
So where are you on? You're on Taft Road. Where? Like,
Right.
what's it near?
Next to the post office.
Yeah.
A couple doors
The
down.
big Taft Oak Rail.
Okay. So, and you're there during the week, like regular hours kind of thing?
They're 8 to 4, Monday through Friday.
Okay. And people can walk in. Again, you don't have to go to SOS to see you. So
No.
tell me a story about somebody you might help or have helped.
So many.
Well,
So rewarding, really, to have someone come in your office or your store
Yeah.
and they're limping in pain and take care of them and they walk away and they're not limping anymore.
So you have a lot of
It's very-
successes, it sounds like.
Very
A
much.
lot of wins.
sounds expensive.
It isn't expensive, but can you put a cost on feeling
Yeah, you're
comfortable
right. And your health.
and your health?
Because, they talk about all these benefits of walking. Well, if you get to a certain age and a certain foot problem happens, you can't walk.
Right.
So there goes your, mental health and your weight loss and all that.
Absolutely.
But you get people walking and running. In some
So let
cases.
me play the role of Tom for a second, because Tom always brings his medical problems, and he did with his whatever that fasciitis
good,
thing.
though.
Yeah.
So right now, about 10 months of the year, I wear very loose-fitting sandals because my foot swells, especially my right foot, because I damaged it a whole bunch of years ago. Is an orthotic? Should I have an orthotic, or should I just leave room for it to swell?
You shouldn't be in shoes that are roomy and loose, because shearing in a shoe causes all kinds of problems. Irritates tendons.
So I'm doing it wrong.
You're probably doing it
Yeah.
wrong.
Okay.
If your feet swell during the day, bring another pair of shoes to change into.
Okay. Okay.
Don't start out with them
so
big.
when someone comes in, you ask a bunch of questions.
We do. We have to get to the root of
Right.
their problems if they do,
Right.
or maybe they're just coming into the store to buy a pair of shoes for a wedding.
So someone says, I buy Dr. Scholl's inserts at the drugstore. What would you say to that?
They're not the best you could do for yourself.
Well, she was very kind. Very, very kind.
Well, we'll get people over there now that we know, right?
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know. And there's a lot of people with hurting feet because many of our listeners are older than Tom, and our feet tend to wear out. So SOSbones.com. Have I got that right?
Yes.
SOSbones.com.
Correct.
And thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Maureen Kaljeski right there, certified podorthist at Syracuse Orthopedic Specialists. And right next to the post office, you can't miss them. Beautiful building. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Scott Lickstein. He is the partner at Newman and Lickstein. Stick around for that conversation right here on the local show on 570 WSYR.
The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
You found it, the last bastion of great talk radio, right here on 570 WSYR, 106.9 FM with Tom and Steve. We are known as The Local Show. We champion local businesses. We get you to know what's around you. Open up your eyes a little bit and see past the traffic stuff and all of the road reworks, and you'll find local business everywhere.
Well, people want to do business with people they feel like they know or they're familiar with.
Yeah.
You can go on Google and go, I want to talk about, I need a whatever.
Sure.
Or you can go, I know a guy, or I know a gal, or I've heard of them. And this show kind of accomplishes all three of those.
Yeah, that was the hope of it, and here we are. So we have a new person to the show, Steve. Don't scare him away too fast. It's Scott Lickstein. He is a partner at Newman Lickstein. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great today. Thank you.
Scott, where did you come from? Are you homegrown here in Syracuse?
Well, in Syracuse, you're not homegrown unless you're born here. But I was not
that's
born
true.
here.
All right.
I grew up in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I came here to law school, and I loved it so much I stayed.
Yeah. What year were you over at the law school?
Do I have to admit to that?
Yes, you do.
That's part of the show.
I graduated in 1980, yes.
Oh, okay.
So I've been doing this for just a few years.
Yeah. That's a while. My mom ended up being the admin over there for Dean Braveman.
Sure.
So, and
I know Dean Braveman.
Were you called down to the office often? Or?
No, I don't.
Okay, good.
I was there before he was the dean, but I know him of a personal nature, yes.
Gotcha,
In
yeah.
Reading, there's a train that goes through there.
The railroad.
Right in town.
On a monopoly. Yes,
I have bought that many times.
Yeah.
Reading has been good to me in the game.
No,
And it does go right through the middle
It's
of
there.
town. It
A
does.
dear friend of mine who passed several years ago, Tony Mikes, the Mikes family lived in Reading, and
Okay.
they have a business down there.
It's
We've
a
done
nice-
some things with it.
I was going
memory.
to say it was a nice town. I think it still is.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I just want you to know I have some real hardball questions for you because, I get all my knowledge about lawyering through A Few Good Men and my cousin Vinny. So I know a lot about
right.
lawyers, attorneys. What inspired you to become an attorney, by the way?
Well, that's a very good question. Must have been TV. No, it was not that. I just enjoyed in high school. I was on the debate team and all things like that. And before you know it, you become a history major, political science major, and then you go, what am I going to do now? And
So you go
to law school.
So you got your undergraduate degree and went, do I do law school? And that's
Right, and that's pretty much. Or did I go into sales? No, I think I think I chose the right thing, and I've been doing it since 1980, so that's 40 odd years. So
yeah, you got your name on the sign. I mean,
Yes.
Do you do a lot of trial lawyering?
We do some litigation in our firm, mostly commercial litigation, which means business versus business, or we also do a lot of property disputes or estate disputes, but those
Really?
kind of things, yeah.
So if everybody got along, you wouldn't have a job.
Yes, that's true. I mean, someone says, "Gee, why can't they all get along?" And we go, "That's taking money out of our no, that's not good for us."
So here in Syracuse, primarily, what kind of cases do you get involved with?
Litigation-wise, we do, as I said, property disputes, business to business, which means usually these are partners or stockholders that are not getting along, and we call them business divorces. We do some of those. I would say that's the majority of our litigation. Also, businesses that are, we represent a bunch of professional organizations, when I mean accountants, other lawyers who are not getting paid their fees, and we help
So you
them
work
with
as a
that.
legal collection kind of a thing?
Well,
I don't know if that's
only
right.
that, but no, the business disputes are disputes. People are not
Right.
getting along, and how do we value this business, and how do we get out, and how we get divorced from each other. Or property disputes can be from, I don't like where the boundary line is, and you're encroaching on my line, but these are usually big parcels, and whether they're farms or whether they're all kinds of things. It's soup to nuts,
So
basically.
if Tom takes a swing at me and hurts me, does he call you or somebody else?
He calls somebody else. We don't do slip and falls. We
right, just checking. All right.
we do not advertise on TV. We do not do any of those things that we do. And another part of what we do just general business law, corporation forming.
Okay.
All right. LLCs? Would you do an LLC?
Oh, yeah, we would do an
Things like
LLC, and that kind of leads into the real property we do. We represent many commercial buyers, sellers of, it could be an apartment building, it could be an industrial building, it could be hotels, which we represent a number of hotels.
Is that like a house closing on steroids?
Pretty much, yes.
Because you have to, right?
Yeah, you do. There's a lot more involved. There's, whether it be code issues, zoning issues. We represent. I was at a planning board last night in Madison County. There's all kinds of things that go on with those type of things. So we represent, and another big part of our business, probably 50% of the firm does technology startups.
What do you do for them?
Yeah.
The formation.
Oh, the formation.
And
okay.
usually in a tech startup, there are investors, and what is their stock options, or what are their options? What if it's successful, what are they going to get out of it, or
Right.
what happens if it's not successful?
What energizes you? Like when you you get 5 phone calls in a day. Which one are you like? Oh, I really like this.
You know,
stuff.
that's a heck of a question, because I went home and my wife said, "Why are you home at 8 o'clock and why are you working 12 hours a day still?" And I said, "That's because that's what energizes me. What energizes me is an interesting case, a new case, and it could be, and it's not about how much it is or what we might get out of it, but." You know, an interesting legal question. I can't tell you off the top of my head what that might be, but you do get a call every once in a while. You go, oh, that's really interesting.
You like solving problems.
Yeah, and in fact, I always tell the story that a couple years ago, a longtime client calls me, hadn't heard from her in 5 or 10 years, you know, a business owner. She goes, I hate to really call you when I only have problems. I'm thinking, that's our stock and trade.
Right.
We do solve problems.
Yeah.
And it's not just through litigation, it's through all kinds of other means that you can solve problems for people.
How many people in the firm?
We have 9 lawyers. We have 1 of counsel lawyer, so 10 altogether. And I think we might have, with staff, we might have 18 people, 16, 18. I lose track, but something
Now,
like that.
Will you take on other partners? Can people become a partner in your firm?
Oh, well, we do have other partners, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not we have 3 or 4 partners if you look on our website.
Just the name becomes too long.
Right?
You don't want to have too many names in the name.
No. So
Right.
that's what it is. And these are people that are folks that just really work hard, and they're just they're experienced, and they've been doing what they do.
Now, Paul Newman, people knew Paul way back in the day.
Paul has been retired for a number of years, but we still use his name on
I
the
see.
letterhead.
Okay.
But he's not a partner anymore and hasn't been for a number of years.
Right.
But we have. We honor him and we honor his name by keeping him on the nameplate.
You know, it strikes me that there is the lawyering part of being a lawyer, and then there's the business side of growing your practice, right? Because you need clients all the time.
That's right.
And, do they teach that in law school?
They do not. You learn that as you go. And actually, we've probably have grown exponentially in the last, I want to say, 5 to 8 years.
Yeah.
That we used to have 2 or 3 lawyers, and now we're 9. So it
Why?
has grown.
Why?
And I
What-
think, well, primarily one of my partners is my son, Steve Lickstein, who
Okay.
is he worked in Boston for a number of years, and
I know his father.
you do, yeah. I heard he's a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
too. Right. Anyway, I heard he's a fine lawyer as well. But he was well versed in the technology industry,
I see.
and when he came to Syracuse, there was kind of a void in that industry, and he somewhat filled that void. And also, he also became, and a number of our people represent. Online gamers, streamers, which is
no
a
kidding.
huge entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And we have.
And you represent.
We represent a number of names, which I'm not going to mention today, that are pretty well known in the industry.
How cool is that?
One who grew up in this area and made it really huge.
And then got in a little trouble recently.
No, there's not trouble.
Oh.
It's just a matter of how do they grow their business.
Okay.
They have sponsorships and contracts, and we also do one other thing. We also do. One of our attorneys does a lot of NIL.
There we go.
And he represents NIL collectives, and that's also very interesting.
So if you're in business, have a business, need a business lawyer, NewmanandLickstein.com.
Correct.
And 422-1172. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
All right, Steve, that's going to wrap up the show. On behalf of Zoey Advertising, the local show, and Tom and Steve, God bless you and your families. Have some time to relax this weekend, would you? Exercise and go for a walk. Do it with a family member or friend. It'll keep your mind and body healthy. The local show is heard every Saturday morning from 11 to 1, and then again on Sunday morning from 7 to 9. Listen together with a friend. Until next week, get down to business and keep doing business locally. Tell your friends about the local show right here on 570 WSYR, 106.9 FM, and the iHeartRadio app, along with YouTube at Zoey Advertising.